because Kenyans were arresting policemen for corruption. That was a crisis that we were dealing with. That is really the fight against corruption. And that shows you what is possible in Kenya and what Kenyans can do. And that is why you find that even with this new constitution, which actually even me when I've read it, has got a lot of imperfections. Deep down I know that there are many games that to be played with it, but you find people still wanting to hope because the prospect of failure is too horrifying for us to contemplate seriously. So we hold on to that. And I think it's important for people to believe and to hope in something. And I have seen it work when I was in office. I'll give you another example. We said, this is in 2003, that we needed to be, a lot of the traffic that goes to Uganda, Rwanda, Eastern Congo, goes right through the center of Nairobi, which is very unfair. It's a bottleneck to regional trade that we have imposed on the region. And a system of ring roads had already been designed for us, so for all this traffic to miss, so that you're not stuck, a tanker taking petrol to Kampala is stuck behind somebody who's taking children to primary school. So we said we're going to build these ring roads around Nairobi. But then we found a lot of the land which was meant for the building of those roads had been corruptly allocated. Watu walikuwa wamejivunia kuwa wa Kenya. Now, we had to demolish buildings of people to build these roads. And we went around. That initiative was led by the current Prime Minister, who was then the Minister of Public Works. And I remember going together with him one day, and we started in the high-end area of Nairobi with a bulldozer destroying a very fancy building in Kampala. In Kampala, you'll be very happy with that kind of building. And we destroyed that building. But then we got policemen to take us to a slum, where we also had to destroy buildings to make space for the same ring road. And we were slightly concerned that when we got there, the people would be hostile. Because these are the poor people, and they have struggled to build their little shacks. And here we are destroying it to saying that we are building a road. And it was one of the most moving moments for me in my entire time in government. And for me, it shows the kind of the nature of the betrayal that we betrayed ordinary people. In that when we got there, we found that Kenyans were taking down their own houses without being asked. We did not need the policemen. And they told us, we know what you're doing is good for us and it's good for the country. And we hear that you have demolished the houses of some rich people on that side, so we are okay. Give us time, we'll take down our houses, you build the road. So that, it's a difficult thing to describe. It's a soft thing. It is not in this piece of this constitution is hard to read. That is why our politicians have gone quiet ever since the new constitution. Everyone is reading it, trying to understand what it means. So that's how I don't think I'm trying to communicate a spirit of something, which also speaks to what Ms. Githongo mentioned. And it's difficult for me to describe. It's something we're trying to capture, a spirit that will allow us to take this constitution somewhere. We know these politicians, we don't play around with it. We know them. But we have to keep that spirit, to keep ourselves together as a nation and to contribute properly throughout the region. If you don't mind, if I can come near the end to talk a bit more about what Inuka Kenya does, so I can stay focused on this issue. Mr. John Small asked, was it good that Mr. El Bashir was invited to the promulgation event on the 27th of August? I'm going to give a contrarian answer here. I say yes, it was. I'll tell you why. It was a reality check, because we sometimes get too euphoric, and then when that bubble is burst, we come crashing down as Kenyans. And on that day, people were SMSing that we are going to have this party, let's go and drink and enjoy. We are promulgated, everyone was overexcited. And then the SMS went round that a plane had arrived from Sudan. And that was, reality setting. And it was a good thing because it showed us the hard road ahead now to implement this constitution. That's not a bad thing, because it's a truth that it is that hard, that there are still people who have that level of impunity in their DNA, that on the day of promulgating the constitution, that means you must arrest Mr. Bashir, you invite him to the event, and he comes. So I don't want to sound like I'm being facetious, but for me, that was my attitude. That everyone was, all the SMSs, or people are overexcited. Then he arrived. Then people said, actually, this thing is going to be difficult. I said, yes, it's going to be difficult. It will take time. So let us start from there. He has come, he has gone, and it has mobilized people very quickly and aggressively. The government was forced to quickly allow diplomatic status to the International Criminal Court so they can set up in Nairobi. So I would say from that point of view, it was something that was a good reality check. It was very unfortunate. It showed, if you look at it on the face of it, it showed a complete and utter disregard for the document that was being promulgated on the day. But for me, I choose to take it as a reality check on that moment.
Okay, second round of questions.
Given the fact that a common person on the street does not seem to understand their legal rights, would you say that there is a need for something like a Citizen Advisory Bureau to advise the citizens of their rights? Thank you.
My name is Wangula Khasiani. I was born in Kakamega in Kenya. I had the privilege of working in Tanzania in the early 70s when I thought Nyerere was promoting propaganda. After every news bulletin, there was a commentary, habari, mazungumzo baada ya habari, where the people who had access to the radio were told a lot of things. I was wondering whether there is an opportunity to educate the general public in Kenya so that even magistrates get to know what the law is so that they do not...
Thank you very much indeed. Are there any other questions on rights?
Holly Aylett from the UK Coalition for Cultural Diversity. My interest is really in this whole issue of building civil society, and I'd like to know what role the panelists think there is to play by the creator and the cultural organisations in Kenya in trying to inform and broker dialogue and build awareness and consensus. And I'd also like to know whether you feel that the existing organisations are strong enough to do the job.
Thank you very much indeed. Although some of the questions were fired at Professor Willis, I think I'm going to give John the privilege of taking the arrows first.
One of the most fascinating aspects of this constitution and the referendum and the build-up, the referendum, and the very intense campaign that took place around the referendum, and then finally the passing of the constitution, is that it was saturation information about the constitution throughout the media. The church, the politicians, the media, civil society. It was one of the most massive, intense exercises in civic education and miseducation at the same time in Kenyan history that we've ever seen. There's a lot of disinformation and misinformation in there, but at the same time, this time, because of how important the moment was, and the fact that it was concentrated into a limited time frame, people were forced to absorb